I'm Chris McDonough, a retired homicide detective. I've interviewed thousands of people, from serial killers to ministers. Welcome to the interview room. Hey, aloha everybody, and welcome to the interview room. It's great to have you here tonight. We've got a whole new, we got a lot of things happening, and it's so neat to see the progress of, what we're learning and how we're going to make things better for you. First of all, thank you so much for Dillan. He's out of town right now, so he suggested that Dad, why don't you go ahead and record this one, and then he'll put it all together and release it out, on Sunday evening. So that's what we're doing here. A big shout out to all of our members. A big shout out to all of our subscribers. Thank you guys so very, very much for supporting us and trusting us and just being with us. I mean, it's been quite the journey here on YouTube. We did not anticipate some of the curveballs. Literally, I have a few announcements. Number one is on some of the social media. I've voluntarily decided that Twitter is just too much drama, and I don't have time for that. So we're moving past that, and so you won't find me there any longer. The other thing is, I want to thank every single one of our mods. Without you, this show would not be successful with 86, almost 87,000 subscribers and headed in the right direction. And by the way, if you are new here, please take a moment and hit that subscribe button. And, that's all we ask is that, you be with us on Sunday nights, and hopefully we add a little value to your life, as well as hopefully help some families that may be struggling, searching for their loved ones. This channel is all educational and true crime. We are grateful to have the opportunity to serve you guys, and with that comes obviously sometimes folks that disagree, and that's okay. That's why we're here. But back to our mods. Miss Sophia, without your leadership, we would not be as far as we are. And, that young lady right next to you, Maui Girl, Mimi J2, Four Sons Mom, Diana, Stephanie Erb, Sophie H., and then recently Melissa was part of the team, but we're grateful that she's sticking with us. There seems to be some other things going around on that. And we love you. We love you all. We're thankful for each and every one of you. So with that said, boy, we've got a couple of great things happening in the pipeline. And I'm not going to announce them tonight, but let me tell you, I think it's going to give your listening value a little more time. Hopefully you'll plug into us on a new podcast that we're working on. As you know, this past week, Larry Millete, the husband of Maya, was arrested, allegedly in connection with Maya's murder. He's being held right now at the San Diego County Jail on one count of murder, which is PC 187, and one count of illegal possession of an assault weapon. In California, if you modify an assault weapon, then you could be charged with a felony, and that's the second count here. Authorities this week, Summer Stephan, the DA, laid out the timeline of Maya's disappearance. Karen, myself, and Dillan have come to know this family, Mary, Chris, and Richard, and their brothers, their siblings, their moms, their dads, their dad, and came to know really the spirit of this family. They are very humble, and we've been humbled just to be alongside them and behind the scenes. So tonight we're going to dive into that timeline and what to expect potentially in the next steps in this case. Maya's sister gave an emotional plea at the press conference earlier this week, and it was obvious that this case is definitely not over. If you did not have an opportunity to see that press conference, it's just heart-wrenching. It's gut-wrenching. This sweet family, and that's her sweet sister and her other sisters, are feeling the exact same way that Mary Chris displayed. Every single weekend, they have been out searching for their sister. And in fact, as recently as today, Sunday. Maya's sister wants everybody to know. I talked to them extensively behind the scenes, and they just want everybody to know how much they love you, how much they have felt your prayers, and how much they have felt the support of the community. And now they're asking you to help the police to continue to help find information in relationship to Maya's case and the allegations against Larry of taking her life. So let's get into the affidavit and what we learned from the DA, Summer Stephan, who I have been honored to call friend for many, many years. And here's the timeline that she laid out as a result of that affidavit. And I'll fill in some of the blanks from information that we have had for quite some time. The Cold Case Foundation was honored to work on some things behind the scenes with Chula Vista PD during this investigation, and we're just grateful that the information that they were hopefully able to put into play resulted in some positive outcome. So Maya, as we all know, was trying to end her toxic relationship with her husband, Larry. She was trying to divorce him. And he was desperately trying to stop her. There's allegations that he discovered that potentially she may have been having an affair. Okay. And this led up to her disappearance. Okay. In his mind. So the affair there's information kind of gave him, motive. And so we're going to get a little into the weeds here about that with some of the allegations. I want your opinions. I have a couple of opinions, but remember, at this point, all of the evidence is not on the table yet. There will be a prelim coming where they're going to bound him, hopefully they'll bind him over, and then of course if he does get bound over, it goes to trial. So September of 2020, Larry grows increasingly obsessed about Maya's activities. His control mechanisms are kicking in, and he is really starting to monitor her communication with others. So he's taking this control to another level. He starts monitoring who she's talking to, where she's going, and those types of things. And in the very minutia details, school, house, work, store, etc., activities out in the desert, etc. Family and friends who are observing this describe his behavior as so controlling that it's almost stalker-like. So he's projecting this control that other people are noticing it and thinking, he's starting to stalk her. Okay. Now, this is a husband and a wife relationship with with third parties looking in and having these types of thought process. He shows up at her work where he believes she is seeing another man. There is an altercation. A lot of information is exchanged in different directions. People are accused. People are, moved. And this is down. By the way, she has a very high-profile job for the government. She's a contract specialist, a supervisor. She's a mentor, and Larry shows up, and there are a lot of allegations that go on down there on government property. And this would have kicked in NCIS's involvement, Naval Criminal Investigative Services, right from the get-go. Okay, right from the get-go. So he creates he then also simultaneously starts creating a shrine to his marriage that included a photograph, as you remember, of him, Maya, that had red wax from candles and blood all over these pictures, almost a form of somewhat voodoo of some sort. Okay? So around this time, and this is back in September of 2020, he starts buying spells daily on Spellcaster to try to make Maya obey him or incapacitate her. Now, he sends hundreds of emails to various companies that sell spells. These companies say they're psychics, they're spirit channelers, and they're white light practitioners capable of energy work. And they literally sell spells that can be cast to enhance a person's love life, eliminate debt, or make a romantic partner remain faithful. I don't know about you, but I had no idea that there were companies out there like this. And so, I guess with the internet and, the capacities of some of these people, we're in the 21st century, so they exist. And Larry utilized their services according to the arrest affidavit and according to the DA, Summer Stephan. So that's going to be an interesting part of this upcoming, not only prelim, I think we'll hear a little bit about that in the prelim, but we'll also hear a lot of it, I think, in my opinion, in the upcoming trial, if it gets bound over. Anyway, Larry, he ends up buying numerous spells to cast on Maya. So he's spending money on things to basically disrupt his wife's life in a supernatural way. Okay? Now, a lot of people are going to read into that. I don't quite know what exactly that means. I mean, you guys tell me what you think. Put it in the chat. I'd like to read what you're thinking on that step, on that piece of the puzzle. November 24th, 2020, Larry sends Maya a link to an article, What Men Want from Their Wives. Now, this is how Maya responds. And listen to this. How about maybe you focus on and also what women want from their husbands? All these ideas you send me are just about you, which further solidifies the whole idea that you really think I'm the problem. And that, if you could only fix me, everything would be okay. As long as I go back to the, quote, wife, end quote, you liked. The one who didn't rock the boat, who didn't assert her feelings, who didn't care about much when she was hurting, so long as there was peace and harmony, then things would be okay. Because really, I'm the problem, right? End quote. Meanwhile, Larry shifts in his internet searches to show he's searching for plants that you can administer so someone does not wake up. In March of 2020, he starts doing those searches, and in November, he comes across water hemlock. What do you guys think about that? That is going to be really interesting to see where that's going to go. I think we've seen that before. Didn't Chad Daybell or somebody do some searching on types of plants? He also continued during this time to contact spellcasting websites. And he searched these websites multiple times a day, and with the purpose, allegedly, of purchasing spells, and then he would send messages to request help so that Maya would obey him. Okay? So he was basically looking for messaging to send to Maya to get her her unabiding obedience and her allegiance. I think that's fascinating. In fact, two of his messages read on December 27th, 2020, "Please punish Maya and incapacitate her enough so she can't leave the house. It's time to take the gloves off." Here's the second one, December 31st, 2020. "Can you hex her or hurt her enough that she will have to depend on me and need my help? She's only nice to me when she needs me or is sick. Thanks again. Maybe an accident or a broken bone." You can't make this stuff up. Where's he going with this? Well, we know where he went, allegedly. Maya revealed to a friend that Larry once choked her until she passed out during this time as well. So that, remember, that picture of, even with Gabby, with Brian, with his hand around her neck, is extremely, extremely problematic. Because with domestic violence, there are many studies that show that males who engage in that type of behavior with this type of anger issues behind it can be very, very problematic and extremely red flags. Just throw the red flags everywhere on that. Okay, so everybody pay attention to that and make sure you're keeping yourself safe as well. The boiling point in their relationship, though, comes when Maya's family is about ready to take a New Year's celebration trip to the desert in Glamis. Okay? Her family, as they were getting there and they eventually ended up there, described his behavior as odd and erratic during the trip. Larry asked a family member if he knew someone to get the other guy, meaning find someone to hurt the man that he believed May was having an affair with. Okay? So there's allegations that he was trying to set up a contract hit on this individual who potentially may have been having this love affair with Maya, who, by the way, is just probably seeking love that she wasn't getting at home. So as their relationship starts to dissolve, Maya wasn't interested in physical contact with Larry or a relationship with him physically. So in December of 2020, we're going to learn that he does an internet search, and here's the search, quote, "My wife doesn't want me to touch her," end quote. Then he searches for the types of drugs like Rohypnol and the date rape drugs and sedatives and depressants that could be used to incapacitate a person. And so Rohypnol, known as the date rape drug, becomes very interesting for him. So perhaps we're going to see going forward as the prelim and the trial progress, where that drug may play a significant role in Maya's incapacitation. January 6, 2021. She texts a friend stating, "I told him I'm filing for divorce, whether he likes it or not. I'm done trying to make it amiable for the sake of our kids." She also said she was, quote, "really hoping to get through this weekend first," end quote, because of her daughter's birthday. This is a woman, I think the evidence is now starting to show, was scared for her safety. And she was scared for her children's safety. And she's trying to do everything she can for those children and preserve her own safety and life, but wanting out of this really bad problem and relationship. January 7th, 12:15 p.m. Maya calls a divorce lawyer to make an appointment for Tuesday, January 12th, 5 days later. She wanted to wait, though, until after her eldest daughter's birthday, which the party was planned for January 10th, as we remember. This was the last day Maya was seen or heard from. She posted her last Facebook post on Messenger that night, January 7th, at 8:15 p.m. Meanwhile, Larry was texting spellcasters frantic messages saying Maya was trying to divorce him. His messages grew increasingly threatening. One of the texts read, quote, "I think she wants me to snap. I'm shaking inside, ready to snap," end quote. At 9:21 p.m., Larry sent a screenshot from one of his cryptocurrency apps that he had to his two daughters, ages 11 and 9. And the arrest affidavit states, those screenshots were powerful. January 7th, 9:57 p.m. 9 loud bangs were heard on a neighbor's video camera. DA Summer Stephan, we heard her in the press conference, say, though, that the FBI could not determine whether those were actual gunshots. The recordings were not sufficient quality enough to accurately record and produce gunshot impulses, according to the FBI, and they could not be scientifically classified as gunshot events. So when you get a chance, after this video, go listen to the enhanced gunshot video that we put up. And you tell me what you think. You guys weigh in on this one. There are some pretty interesting scientific tools that were also utilized by a lab out of California. At 10:34 p.m., neighbors reported hearing Maya's children playing in the backyard, which was extremely highly unusual. And late at night for them to be outside would have been just total out of character. So that evidence in and of itself is going to be significant because of the age of the children, because of the time of the children, and because of the fact that Maya is missing at this, what the evidence will probably show is missing at this point and this time. On January 8th at 1:25 a.m., Maya's phone activity ceases. That is the last time her phone had a ping. January 8th, 1:25 a.m. At 2:36 a.m., January 8th, Larry sends another email to a spellcaster, then abruptly stops his messaging campaign begging for help to prevent Maya from leaving him. So at 2:36 a.m., he basically ends his campaign to cast spells about her leaving. What do you guys think on that? I want to see that in the chat. That's going to be really, I'm curious as what you guys are weighing in on that one. And now he's desperate. Okay, Larry's desperation for Maya that evening, okay, starts to disappear. It dissipates. It starts to dissipate that evening after the 2:36 email. He doesn't send another email to the spellcasters again until January 9th at 5:55 a.m. So he is now, some time is settling in here. And at this time, at that 5:55, January 9th, he asked the spellcasters to, quote, remove or stop hexing my wife, May, end quote. He stops asking for help with his destroyed marriage. He ends it. Why? Why? At that time, does this messaging start to change? His focus shifts over the course of the next few months or so, and he sends emails through the beginning of February. However, he's asking to punish the man who had an affair with Maya. So he's shifting blame. On January 8th, the affidavit reports at 5:58 a.m., Larry moved his 2015 black Lexus with the license plate of Milani, which is a personal plate, and it's seen backing into his garage out of sight from being captured by an outdoor video camera that belonged to the neighbor. At 6:45 a.m., after repositioning his vehicle, he leaves with the couple's youngest child, who was 4 at the time, for 11 hours and 21 minutes, according to the district attorney, Summer Stephan. He leaves his cell phone at home so that there is no trace of any cell phone activity on his phone, i.e., they can't say where he went. He later tells the police that he drives to the beach community of Solana Beach. But when the PD, Chula Vista PD, the detectives asked him to show them where he went on a map, he points to an area where he said he had gone. And that area was 4 miles away from Solana Beach in Torrey Pines State Park. So that would have been south of Solana Beach. Solana Beach would have been north of Torrey Pines State Park. So apparently there's some discrepancy in relationship to where he said he went and where he pointed out he actually ended up. Authorities are asking at this point for you, me, and the general public as a whole, to, if anybody saw that Lexus around January 8th, around that time, okay, at 5:58, okay, and then forward 11 hours, to please notify the Chula Vista Police Department and the San Diego District Attorney's Office. They are looking for witnesses that may have seen that vehicle. Okay. So during those 11 hours, also, it should be noted that Larry's boss and Larry's father tried to contact him by phone, but they were unable to contact him because, for obvious reasons, he purposely left the phone at home. So at this point, the district attorney's saying that Larry cannot account for his whereabouts on January 8th, and his alibi cannot be corroborated. He did not go to work on January 6th, the 7th, or the 8th. And there's evidence that Larry sent his boss text messages indicating that Maya was seeking a divorce and Larry was unraveling. Now, when those text messages were sent, we're just going to have to wait. But it's obvious it wasn't during the day where he left his phone at his house. However, his boss and his father and family members were trying to locate him. On January 8th at 6:30 p.m., Maya's brother, unable to also locate his sister, goes over to their house, knocks on their door, goes in, and also goes into Maya's bedroom to check on her. And the reason for that is the family, Maya's family, was communicating via a group text, and Maya stopped responding on January 7th to any of the messaging. Now, remember, she was the one who was helping to organize her daughter's birthday with all of the other family members. Okay? So for her text messages to abruptly stop immediately put this family into panic mode, and they sent her brother goes over there to find his sister. While there on January 7th, January 8th, he sees his 9-year-old niece and asks about mom. She tells him that she'd been in the bedroom for the past 11 hours and that she and her family, or her sister, had not been fed by mom. Boom, red flag. Huge red flag for brother. Because this is totally out of character for this dominant A, high achiever, high power woman in working in the job that she was working in. She is a by the book type of woman. So at this time, Larry tells him that he was away at work and didn't know where Maya was either. Then during the conversation, while talking to her brother, he changes his story and actually says, well, actually, I went to the beach. Okay. And as you guys know, this is when Maya's family ends up contacting their family attorney, and he's also a dear friend of mine and attorney, Billy Little Jr. He's an amazing human being. And Billy shows up in San Diego County and starts basically, knocking on doors and trying to find out where Maya is located. And he contacts Larry. He contacts family members that belong to Larry, and he gets a lot of information and sends it to Chula Vista PD. So during the initial police investigation, Larry also allowed the detectives to talk to his 2 older children. They said Maya would normally check on them periodically throughout the day as they were all in virtual school. So, during that some time, and this time frame is still a little, off because we don't really know, okay? But on January 8th, she did not check on them, according to the kids. So mom is MIA on January 8th. They last saw their mother, according to the children, according to the affidavit, according to the family, according to every piece of information and evidence that we know at this point, January 7th. The kids hear noises in the kitchen on January 8th and assume it's their mother, but they never actually see her that day. So fast forward, January 23rd. A search warrant was served on the Millete home. Police find an AR rifle capable of shooting, high-powered .223 rounds, and it apparently is an unlawful assault rifle, which in California is a felony to own. And there were also 4 registered firearms in Larry's name, which were unaccounted for at that particular time during that search warrant. So there are 4 guns missing. Police later learned that Larry gave those weapons, or gave weapons, to his uncle Ricky because he knew that the PD was coming with a search warrant. So he purposely took steps, allegedly, to hide these guns from being found by the law enforcement authorities. Okay. They found in a coat closet in the front entryway of Larry's home 2 Glock handguns, 1 shotgun, 1 rifle, multiple caliber types of ammunition, numerous other firearm parts, add-ons, and 3 secured SD cards. Well, I'm sure we're going to find out about those later on once that evidence is downloaded. There were 4 firearms, though, registered to Larry that were unaccounted for, including a Smith & Wesson automatic 40 caliber handgun. And I think we have information that perhaps one of those weapons is still outstanding, but we'll hear more about that. On January 26, police searched Larry's Lexus and reviewed the navigation system from January 8th. It showed that Larry typed in his home address at 3:25 p.m. and had a 2.5-hour drive back home. Police do not have a narrower time frame or vicinity of where they believe Maya's body could be, but they believe that that 2.5-hour radius is important to discovering Maya's body. So from his house out 2.5 hours is a substantial distance potentially. What financial evidence is the DA looking to present that will show Maya was a victim of a homicide? According to the DA, Summer Stephan, her cell phone, once thought to have pinged in the area behind Chula Vista home, her home, is now to believe have been left inside the house. Maya's valuables, though, were still in there. She had a savings account from her work. The account has had no activity on it. Her debit credit cards had not been used since January 7th. And on May 7th, 2021, the police start focusing in on additional weapons. Okay, they serve Larry with a gun violence restraining order, and they seized 3 of the 4 registered firearms that they were unable to find during the initial January 23rd search warrant. So apparently Uncle Ricky gave them back. They also seized 2 registered Glock handguns that Larry bought after January 23rd, and an additional unregistered firearm, numerous other firearm parts, and thousands of rounds of ammunition. And we did a whole show on that particular piece of this investigation as it was moving forward by Chula Vista PD, who, by the way, I think is a good time to say did an outstanding job in this case. They really, really went the extra mile. Now, that 40 caliber Smith & Wesson, though, to this date has still not been located. And police are asking if anyone knows about that missing handgun to please contact the Chula Vista Police Department and or the District Attorney's Office in San Diego. Now, July. Larry was named a person of interest in Maya's disappearance. So how does that shift the clarity of focus? It means it's narrowing. And so the DA and the investigators have to now start looking at a circumstantial case, because the thought process is if they don't find Maya's body, even today, okay, they have to have a case that they are very confident they could prove that a homicide has occurred and that allegedly Mr. Millete is the suspect who actually committed that crime based on the evidence presented by the court to the court and ultimately to a jury. So they have to have confidence that they have a circumstantial case. And the district attorney at this point, Summer Stephan, is very confident that they have a circumstantial case and that this case will be successfully prosecuted. Also at the press conference, we saw Maya's sister Mary Chris alongside her husband Richard give an absolute gut-wrenching emotional plea for help in finding Maya's body for the sake of her family and her children, Maya's children. I just don't know. If you did not have a chance to see that press conference, might I encourage you to go watch it and listen carefully to Mary Chris's plea to the world to help them find their sister, her sister. They are out there even today, like I mentioned, looking for her sister. If you have information, please, please help them. Help them. So today, where do we stand? Well, we stand with Larry being held on bond on the murder and weapons charges that he allegedly took the life of Maya Millete. And he's scheduled to appear at a preliminary hearing in February of 2022 coming up. In between that time, Mary Chris and Richard and hundreds of volunteers, hundreds of friends and family are asking and looking and searching for Maya. There are all kinds of social media pushes. The media has kept her name out front. Our channel here at TIR, you, each of you, our family members here, have kept her name out front, and we will continue to do so. Okay? We will continue to do so. We want you to all know that we thank you so much for always being with us here on the interview room and trusting us with your time, with your opinions, and with your information. As we go forward, I just want to let you know things are going to get really, really good, even further. And we're going to be doing more videos like this so we can give you additional content. And we'll still be doing lives. But we want you to know how important it is that you're here with us. And we thank you for being with us. We're grateful. Karen, Dillan, and I, and Buddy, we'll see you on the next one. And until then, continue to be kind to each other. Continue to take care of each other. And let's go to Hawaii, shall we?
Hard working every day, I'm stressed out, 24/7, babe, no timeouts, wish we could fly away.